Yes, so this video is going to be me doing a bit of fan service. Yes, I actually listened to my audience and one told me to do a video on this one. Yes, I know it just screams masculinity for days, doesn't it? Don't know who this is, don't care either, but given the fact that he used Andrew Tate's name in his title and the only person who ever mentions Andrew Tate is himself, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say he's just using the Tate name because without his name, this video would get no freaking traction at all. The video will be about the T's and their, what's the phrase I'm looking for? Uninvited appearance in the world, if I can use that term, with regards to, well, just life in general, really. Because let's be honest here, people. Someone who uses Tate's name in the title and never uses a single clip of him saying anything is not going to give us anything of great depth. This is just going to be a good old-fashioned verbal demolition. So crack on.
Have you ever wondered what Andrew Tate would be like if Andrew Tate's head was a disco ball? I'm sure we've all wondered this from time to time. Well, you don't have to.
Oh dear God, no. I will not subject my audience to any more of this than is necessary. Pretty sure I might be held liable for legal damage their organs might suffer at the hands of this unbearable cringe, so no. Make your weak points and get it the hell over with. This video should feature far more of me talking than you if we're ever gonna make it out of this alive.
I also noticed that in all of his videos he wears these dress shirts that he unbuttons extremely low to show off his chest, which I find a little bit confusing because if this dude is trying to market himself to other dudes, why is he showing off his chest to them like this? It's a little bit scandalous. It's a little bit revealing. I don't know if Jesus would approve of what he's wearing right now. Clearly, Disco Ball Head here has never heard that modest is hottest. Now, I am not saying that him showing off his chest to other men is gay. I am definitely not saying that it is gay to show off your chest.
Yes, fine, we get it, you're a f***head, shut up already. Good God. It's amazing how these power-following cretins will sim for the gays all damn day long, but they have no problem throwing the accusation of gay around like it's an insult. If only they had the capacity to understand the hypocrisy. Seems the acceptance of gay in their world is purely based on political ideology. Also shows you they never actually speak to any conservatives, and thus the only one they bother attacking is the straw man inside their noggin. There are conservatives who are gay, you know. We don't really care. Same way there are lefties who are gay who can't stand the Skittle Squad because they think it makes them look bad.
Why are there no trans men fighting to be in men's sports? It's simple. Trans men aren't winning in men's sports.
True, men have an overwhelming advantage because they're men who went through puberty, and a woman has no shot in hell of competing against men. Basic biological reality. An observation so obvious, only delusional cultists would even attempt to dispute it.
So right off the bat, he's just straight up wrong. There are tons of trans men fighting to be in men's sports.
You know what would help this argument, Porky? Examples, like their names, their sports, competitions and placings. But he's not going to do any of that, because it's a lot more challenging forging fictitious bullshit anyone can finger as fake than simply spouting BS online to maintain the cultist narrative to a group of morons who are already indoctrinated up to their eyeballs and are simply chasing the dopamine sugar pills that come via the reinforcement of their dim-witted religious opinions.
The reason this dude hasn't heard about the trans men competing in men's sports is because conservative media doesn't flip the fuck out about trans men in sports.
Yeah, the reason for that dingus is because women competing against men have no shot in hell of dominating a sport because they're women who are not physically up to par with the men, for the reasons I just mentioned.
And I don't want to get into like the whole trans sports debate in this video.
Yeah, I get the impression female anatomy and sports is not exactly your forte. He's talking bollocks, by the way. He spends more than a third of this very video talking about it. Don't you, Bacon Boy? Oh, seeing as I called just some guy kid because he had the opinions and attitude of a moody teenager, I'm going to call this one either Bacon Boy or Porky, seeing as he has the complexion of uncooked swine. Oh, my apologies, carry on with your nonsensical cult worship.
Figuring out how to like segregate sports is incredibly complicated.
No, it isn't. We do it by sex. Been doing it so for decades, in fact. Even before you were just an unfortunate sperm cell swimming in your later-to-be-disappointed father's balls.
But in general, I think it's totally fine to segregate sports based on gender as long as you make sure that people have the proper hormone levels to compete in those gender categories.
No, Porky. Perhaps you don't understand the distinction, so allow me to elaborate. What you just did is remove the category of sex entirely and then replace it with hormones, whilst also failing to acknowledge there is an enormous difference in performance favoring the one which produces that hormone as their dominant one naturally, and how it accounts for their growth.
Like, should we start segregating basketball based on height because taller people have an advantage in basketball? I don't know, maybe.
No, because the tallest players don't necessarily make the best performing players. Heaven's sakes, an AI can make a better argument than this. Oh, and speaking of AI, if the AI can produce a better argument, I wonder if these lemmings will realize they will just be relegated to being disciples. They will have no power and must only obey. That'll be fun to watch.
But contrary to all the fear-mongering that conservatives do, there is no massive epidemic of trans women winning women's sports.
Oh, this is gonna get ugly, isn't it? Let me explain how sports and winning works, pal, seeing as life hasn't afforded you the capacity to play either. If you had 500 competitors and only 3 of them were men, the 3 men would always win because they're men and therefore have a huge advantage. It's not about an epidemic in terms of volume, it's merely their presence alone is enough to rob women of first place, which would be unfair. You know, you would think if you look like this, you would do everything in your power to sim for real women. But then they do this, whilst implying somebody else is gay. Really? You don't see the irony in that?
If hypothetically in the future trans women do start dominating every single women's sport, then maybe we will have to make like stricter rules around hormones or something.
It's like puberty doesn't exist in there. Actually, never mind, carry on.
But for the time being, this is all really just fear-mongering.
Unless you happen to be a woman who's had to face off against a man in sports and then had them take first place. But again, ones like this would have no idea what a shot at winning actually even looks like, so they aim to defend men, pretending to be women, against other women. Which is a really strange freaking thing to do. No, seriously, why on earth would you ever defend this unless you're in a cult and you've abandoned any sense of logic or reason?
And this dude clearly has no idea what the fuck he's talking about.
And you do! You've provided no numbers or names to back up any of your claims. You've done the cliche leftist gimmick of just asserting things into the ether as if it makes it so. That's not how the real world works, Bacon Boy.
Because there are just as many trans men trying to compete in sports as there are trans women.
Again, would you like to present any evidence of this? M to F is 2 to 4 times more likely than F to M, so the chance of that simply mathematically is highly unlikely. Factor in the huge boost in performance that comes from being biologically male, that is borderline impossible.
So there's no reason to fight for it. No one wants to fight to participate in things that bring them zero recognition in society.
Of course people fight to be a part of things that don't bring them recognition in society. Seeking fame is not the only motivator that people have.
Porky, I am trying very hard not to insult you with every clip, but my god, you're making this extremely challenging. When it comes to sport, yes it is. The recognition, or fame as you call it, comes from excelling at the sport. How you can't connect the dots as you waffle on like a dazed drunkard is astonishing.
A lot of trans men want to compete in sports just because sports are fun. Only an incredibly small percentage of athletes compete at a level where they're gonna get some sort of fame and recognition.
Yeah, no shit, they're called athletes or sports stars for a reason, Porky, because they're the best. What's your fucking point?
The reason trans women fight to be in women's sports is because they want to fight for the one thing which brings them recognition in their lives. The ability to come in first at tournaments, which in turn furthers their career.
Of course, welcome to competition. They compete to win. Duh.
Again, this is just straight up not true. Trans women aren't competing in sports just for the sake of winning. They also compete in sports because it's fun and because it helps them stay healthy.
Okay, we can end this miserable sod's argument right here with one simple question. Why don't they compete against men then? Oh, that's right, because they can't. They're not good enough, let alone have a shot at winning. Next point. This is a level of idiotic that demands you get your internet connection severed permanently, my good god.
There are some trans women who compete at a very high level, and that's totally fine. Until trans women start like universally dominating sports on a competitive level, I really think this is just fear-mongering.
Oh, really? So why have a bunch of sports associations banned the T's from competing altogether? Just conservative politics kicking their asses, is it? I think if you were to examine this objectively without your fat head getting smothered by leftist arse cheeks, you would recognize a lack of political interference in this matter would result in the defaulting of a position that just so happens to align with conservative politics. Almost like it's, oh, I don't know, natural or something. I don't think for a second you've ever thought about any of this, by the way. You're an idiot parroting talking points. Any rational person would have long ago chucked you into a padded cell if you uttered this kind of shite even a decade ago. You have to be seriously indoctrinated to be this thick. I wonder if these adults will ever look back at this time the same way the post-80s adults look back at their photos and see themselves sporting a mullet.
They were really fighting for acceptance of their identity. We'd see just as many male trans athletes making national headlines as we do female trans athletes for the exact same reasons. But we don't, because once again, they're not just fighting for acceptance. They're fighting so that they can become influential in the world.
The reason why you don't see a lot of headlines about trans men competing in sports is because it doesn't play into this narrative that trans women are trying to infiltrate women's spaces.
Yeah, because they'd be competing against men, you fucking idiot. Are you even aware of how imbecilic you sound right now? This is unbelievable.
And there actually have been stories where trans men are forced to compete against cis women because schools have anti-trans policies in place. And when trans men are forced to compete against cis women, they actually have a higher likelihood of beating the cis women because they have higher levels of testosterone. So if we segregate sports based on sex instead of based on gender like conservatives want, then there will be trans men competing against cis women who will have an advantage over these cis women, which just loops back around to the fact that there is no perfectly fair way to segregate sports. But really the ultimate goal of a lot of conservatives is to just make it so trans people can't compete in sports altogether.
Correct, and that is how it should be. They shouldn't be allowed to compete in any sport for a very simple reason. Politics do not belong in sports, and they are a product purely of politics. And yes, I know my comment section is going to love that point because it's very good. Secondly, I'm a sports fan, and I lift more than just a sandwich to my face as a form of exercise, which instantly makes me more qualified to speak on this topic than Bacon Boy over here. Do you understand the concept of unfair advantages like, say, doping? If that is outright banned because it gives said unfair advantage, in what fucking world would we ever allow the unfair advantage here simply because of political affiliation, which is what this crap really is?
What pronoun should I use?
You should use they, them pronouns. So you saying that you
And what
don't
if I don't?
me,
What if I don't?
that is an act of violence to intentionally misgender someone.
Misgendering someone is not an act of violence.
So I think my opinion on this is that I wouldn't call misgendering someone an act of violence necessarily, but I do think that purposefully misgendering people does contribute towards a society where violence towards trans people becomes more normalized. You see this across the board with various marginalized groups, that the more hate speech towards those groups increases, the more violence towards those groups increases.
Oh, really? Tell me then, Porky, does that include the white farmers in South Africa getting killed by the black majority? Somehow I get the impression he wouldn't touch that one with a 10-foot freaking pole, and if you pressed him on it, he would backpedal so fast he might actually shed that second chin of his.
And of course, when you say something like that, dudes like this will say that you're overreacting and that you're triggered and that you're woke or whatever.
'Cause you are.
But in another video that this dude posted, he straight up said that we need to use authoritarianism to crack down on trans people.
And why not? You're literally using the power of the state as well as massive companies and corporations to smear and cancel anyone who opposes you. The vast majority of society rejects you, your ilk, and your New Age cult. Are you not in favor of equality? Let's try applying it to tactics then.
Convinced these social norms will come about via civil dialogue.
Of course they can't be civil. They don't like dialogue either. Even Vorsh admitted this.
It's going to require something worse than that. Something which involves one group imposing its will over other groups.
Anyone remember in a previous generation that used to be called adhering to standards? Now it's suddenly labeled authoritarianism. Man, we've slipped far.
If you're someone who thinks that misgendering someone equals violence, you're essentially saying that we should outlaw the ability to offend others.
No, this is just not true. Not every single person who thinks that misgendering someone is an act of violence would say that, therefore, we need to make it illegal to misgender someone.
If they were consistent and followed that idea to its logical conclusion, yes, they would, you fucking moron. If violence is a crime and they consider misgendering an act of violence, they would naturally conclude it must be a crime, therefore a punishable offense.
Personally, I
don't give a damn what the hell you have to say right now. Move on to your next stupid point.
Here's the truth. Your feelings and your trauma aren't my problem. Neither I nor 99.9% of the population give a flying f about where you come from or what you've gone through.
A bit harsh, but I understand his sentiment.
I just don't get it.
Yes, it's the first believable statement you have made in this video.
Why do dudes like this see it as like a virtue to be an asshole who doesn't give a fuck about anyone else? I feel like even back when I was raised in a conservative Christian household, we were taught that like being nice and being polite towards people is a good thing to do, and that an eye for an eye makes the whole world blind.
and screwing with one's genitals would result in the extinction of our species.
I don't know, I just think this whole "I don't give a fuck about anyone but myself" is just fucking cringe, and it just leads to a society where everyone is suffering. I just hope this attitude of people only caring about themselves dies off.
I'm confused. I thought he was pro-lefty. They are the most self-centered people I've ever met.
And mind you, the same goes both ways. My full expectation is that you should give zero f***s about where I come from and what I've gone through, because who gives a fuck? By approaching the world in this way, it forces both you and I to learn a certain level of resilience against the critiques of others. And if you can become impervious to the opinions of others, you become more powerful and more capable of going out into the world and getting what it is that you want.
I don't know why he's acting like these two things are mutually exclusive when they're not.
Okay, yeah, he just waffles on and says the same thing about 5 times and it gets very boring. So let me save you all some time. The TikTok bloke is saying develop thicker skin. You can listen to the critiques of others, but not necessarily take everything to heart to the point of it becoming crippling or debilitating. Think mild dose of venom to build up resistance, not overdosing on it to the point of it becoming lethal.
Women's rights, but we can't define what a woman is. But also men can be women. And no uterus, no opinion, but also men can get pregnant.
This type of logic is the result of the concept of individualism gone awry. We have gone so far down the road of supporting the sacredness of the individual that cognitive dissonance has become the rule rather than the exception, because people's identity can be based on anything they feel at any given moment. So what's the alternative? We need to return to a certain amount of collectivism.
So, in the last video, he said that everyone should not give a fuck about anyone else's experiences or anyone else's trauma, and that people should only care about themselves. That is the definition of individualism. Now he's saying that we need to return to collectivism because trans people are going too far. So when it comes to being an asshole who only cares about yourself and your own needs, that's when individualism is good. But when it comes to trans people just wanting to exist as themselves, that's when individualism is bad.
Someone in the comment section tell me, does this cringe level of either disingenuousness or stupidity actually work on people? Because if it does, holy balls, are we really screwed. The lack of nuance is horrifying. And it's not even complex. And notice he doesn't address individualism run amok either at all. All the TikTok dude is saying is there must be a base level of coherent common acceptance among the people. I would be in favor of this. For example, your preferred pronouns are never acceptable under any circumstance because you live in a fantasy land and the rest of us do not. And seeing as you are attempting to impose your will on us, you can fuck off. I'm gonna skip the next part because he does this stupid thing of hearing the word collectivism, which triggers thoughts in his empty, numbed out noggin, thinking he is going to own the conservative by presenting things that in his world favor collectivism, i.e. state-sponsored gibs. Here is the difference, Bacon Boy. The subtleties will of course be lost on you. He is talking about the enforcement of a base level of social norms. You are talking about the state providing services, i.e. taking more of your money under the pretense of the greater good. It's not remotely the same thing.
Where there are agreed upon social norms in society. Now, I'm becoming less convinced these social norms will come about via civil dialogue. It's going to require something worse than that. Something which involves one group imposing its will over other groups. So the question is this. You obviously have an opinion on how the world should work. What are you willing to do to make sure that your opinion is the winning side?
So here he's saying that we need to move past having a civil dialogue and start forcing other people into submission. But in another video, he said that he thinks it's bad that people get thrown in prison for expressing their freedom of speech.
Last year, 400 people were arrested in Russia, a totalitarian government, for what they said on social media.
Wouldn't the reason that you want people to have freedom of speech be so that we can have a civil dialogue and we don't need to throw people in prison for the things that they say? I just honestly do not understand what this dude believes.
Of course not, and for several reasons. You're not making this to understand the guy, you're trying to fry him and failing miserably at it. So allow me to fill in the blanks for you, otherwise you'll be here till Christmas, one day past my birthday. Here's the point. Free speech is, in quite a few ways, much like the amorphous concept of freedom overall, quite dangerous, which I'm aware makes many people rather uncomfortable. Now, I've said previously I don't believe in free speech absolutism because it's not a concept that any civilization actually adheres to. We don't vocalize every thought that comes to our heads. We temper them to fit the social norm of the situation, lest we risk alienation or embarrassment. Now apply that same concept in conjunction with freedom in general. If you're going to apply liberation liberally to everything, you're going to eventually erode the foundations. And once we get to the point where people are under the impression they will face societal collapse if action is not taken, they will naturally go to the one institution with the power to enforce an order, the state. See, Porky, the reality is this. If you have a strong moral foundation and your order is natural, you have no need for state intervention. The reason people like him exist and grow is a backlash to your destructive obsession with total atomization. You want to destroy, they want to enforce. Do you understand now? Probably not, but my audience will.
It just feels like his ideology is all over the place. I think it really just boils down to the fact that this dude is a massive hypocrite. He wants to be able to express himself and be able to share his opinions and not get censored on social media and not get thrown in prison for expressing his opinions. And he wants to have individualism for himself where he can get rich and just say fuck everyone else and not care about anyone but himself. But when trans people want to have that same ability to express themselves and not be censored and get to live whatever life they want to live, that's when we need to all collectively come together and force them into submission.
Yeah, he didn't learn a damn thing. It's funny how he accuses the TikTok guy of being too individualistic while he's also advocating for collectivism, which does not make a lot of sense. Not everyone's opinion is equally valid, and not everyone should be listened to as if being a human alone means your opinion has value. No, there are some people who are thick as sin and should never be listened to ever. At least not for collective purposes anyway, and yes, that is most definitely a swipe at democracy. Fact of the matter is, wicked power works its way through the masses. Not that Bacon Boy over here would ever be able to understand such a concept, why would he? He's doing it right now and he doesn't even know it. A useful idiot indeed. Cheers for watching, and once again, I apologize for nothing.